Friends, hello and welcome on techguruspeaks.com. Today I would like to talk about Java arrays. An array in Java is basically an ordered collection of homogeneous elements, or rather to say identical objects, that can be accessed via an index. They behave like class type variables. Now, in order to work with array, we have to follow three steps. Step number one, we have to declare an array. Step number two, we have to instantiate the array. And the third step is basically related to array initialization. So now to declare an array, we have to declare the array variable. Say for example, if we are having an integer type variable named arr, that can be written like int space, then the name of the array, then the particular third bracket. So that will be giving you the array declaration. Then comes the instantiation part. To instantiate the array, we have to use a new operator with the help of the third bracket to enclose its size. Now you can put the array size as an input, or you can provide any particular value here. For example, I have used here the value 10. So now after declaring the array, to instantiate it, I will be writing here the name of the array, then the assignment operator new, that will be basically creating space in the memory, followed by the type of the array and the size of the array within the third bracket. So in that way the array can be instantiated after the declaring has been done. Now to initialize the array, we use a read-only data field called length, which is basically a runtime property of any array in Java. Basically it indicates its length. So basically we have to start from the beginning index, that is denoted by 0, to the end index, that will be length minus 1. So that is why the condition is like in the for loop int I equal to 0, that is the beginning index, and the condition part states that I less than arr dot length, that means it will be 1 less than the length of the array, and I plus plus, that will means it will be incrementing the loop control variable I one at a time, like I equal to I plus 1. So now we will be putting the values like arr 0 equal to 0 plus 1 1. So for the second element it will be arr 1 equal to 2 and so on. So that in that way basically the array can be initialized. So array declaration, instantiation, and finally array initialization. Though some of the steps may be combined in Java program, that you will see in the program demonstration part. Now apart from say one dimensional array that I have talked about till now, you can also work with say multi-dimensional arrays like two-dimensional array, three-dimensional arrays, and that concept is basically supported by Java. So that is all about theory. Now we will be demonstrating the concept of array using the NetBeans IDE, one of the most popular IDEs for Java programming. So let's move to the NetBeans IDE for program demonstration. So now I have written here four basic programs basically. First I will be demonstrating one dimensional array, then the two dimensional arrays will be discussed. So first I have tried to create here an integer type array. The first step is array declaration that I have told before. So int arr, that is the name of the array, and then the third bracket. So it will be giving you the ID of the array. Step 2 is array instantiation. Say for example, I have taken the array size as 5. I have not taken any keyboard input here. And step 3 is basically array instantiation. So I have tried to initialize the elements of the array by using a for loop that I have discussed just now. So in that way the array elements can be initialized. Finally I have tried to display the elements of the array. Just have a look at the output here. So it will be showing the output here. So all the elements, like here we are having 5 elements in the int type array. So it will be starting from the 0th location to 1 less than the length. So that means 4. So 0 to 4. So these are the range of indices, and the first value will be 1. So 1 to 5, in that way the array elements can be initialized. So that is the idea I have followed here. Now in the next example, within the same program, I have used a double type array. So here declaration and instantiation are basically combined here. So double num, then comes the third bracket equal to new double 5. So declaration part and the instantiation part are now combined. Then I have tried to initialize the elements of the array. I have followed the same idea here, but since they are of type double, so I have used a explicit type casting for assignment into the double type array. So now I have tried to display the array elements, that you can see it here. So in that way we can deal with a double type array. For the last example, I have used here array constant because all the elements are now fixed. So I have declared the array, and instead of using the new operator, I have made here default allocation. Like the array will be having basically default content. So that is why it will be considered as a array constant. So it is having 6 characters, MOTHER. So now I have tried to print the elements of the character array. So it will be like MOTHER. So in that way I can deal with character array while the array is basically a constant array. So now I'll be moving to the next example. It is basically a sorting example. So here we will be using bubble sort technique. As you already know about bubble sort technique, so I will not be discussing it. Just try to look at the idea that I will be following here, how to take the keyboard input and how to pass the elements into the array. That will be the topic of concern here. First I will be starting from main. So I will be using here scanner class. So that has been imported here, java.util.scanner. First I will be asking for input from the user. So after specifying the size, it is basically integer variable. So I will be using this particular size to instantiate the array. After it is being declared, then I will be taking keyboard input to initialize the elements of the array. Then I will be calling the function named bsort, which will be basically performing bubble sort technique. And after the function has done all its work on the given array, the final output will be shown here, like the sorted elements of the array will be shown at the end. So that is the idea of this program. It's a very simple program. Just I have tried to use here bubble sort technique to sort a particular array which is basically unsorted. So now I will be trying to demonstrate it. Say for example the size is 5. So that is the size of the array. Suppose now I will be entering the inputs one by one. So that is about this particular for loop. So these two statements are already been executed. Say for example I am taking here, say for example 99 followed by 77, then 88, 55 and 66. So I have taken 5 elements. So all of them are basically, if they are taken in this particular sequence, that will give you an unsorted array. Now by applying the bubble sort technique, that will be sorted, and finally you will be getting the sorted array after applying the bubble sort technique. So in order to perform bubble sort, we are basically have a function called like this, and this is the bubble sort function that is being applied here. So after applying this function on the unsorted array, it will be make the array sorted, and that is displayed here. Okay, so that is the output. Now I'll be dealing with a two-dimensional array. For a two-dimensional array, it will be having two dimensions. Say for example, it is of integer type and it is having two dimensions. So it is the declaration part, then comes the instantiation part. So that is the name of the two-dimensional array data. So new int 3 4, that is it will be having 3 rows and 4 columns. Now I'll be using here two loop control variables like x and y, because we need two indices. One is the row number and second is the column number. Basically in this example I have tried to consider a two-dimensional array. All the elements will be where zeros, so all the elements are basically zeros. So that I have done here by using this for loop, and I have used two indices. One is the row number and second one is the column number. So x denotes the row number and y denotes the column number. That will be the loop control variables also for the respective loops. So x is the outer loop, and that means the loop x is the loop control variable for the outer loop, and y is the loop control variable for the inner loop. So in that way the program will be giving its output accordingly, like row size. So how many rows are there? Data dot length, that is what, 3. So that is the row size, and column size will be what? So data 0. If I am taking any of the row here, so data 0, that is the first row, dot length, so that will give you the column size. So that is 4 here. It is a simple example to demonstrate the use of two-dimensional array. Next I will be taking another example for demonstrating two-dimensional array. Here we are having a default array like two-dimensional array. So you can provide the dimension after the type also, that is an alternative option. So it is a basically two-dimensional array. It is having 2 rows and 4 columns. So following the similar concept, I have tried to give you the idea of number of rows and columns. Now I would like to print it. I mean to say the matrix elements will be now shown to you. So here we will be having rows and columns to indicate the number of rows and number of columns. So we need two for loops. The first for loop is the outer loop, and I will be used as the loop control variable here for the outer loop, and it is basically indicating the row number. And for the second one, that is the inner loop, j is the loop control variable, and it will be used for the column number. So in that way the array elements will be shown to you. And for demonstration purpose we will be using the opening and closing braces as well, so that it will be understood by you easily. Just trying to run the program. So the array elements, that means two-dimensional array elements, are now displayed by using this particular program, which is having two loops. One is outer loop, that is indicating row number, and the second one is the inner loop, that is indicating the column number for a particular row. So in that way it will be trying to access the elements of the two-dimensional array. So I hope that you have understood the logic of dealing with array, whether it is one-dimensional or two-dimensional. So I think you will be now able to apply your knowledge to write programs that will deal with array. I also hope that you have thoroughly watched my video and understood the logic behind the Java arrays. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. So here comes the URL of my YouTube channel, and please visit my website techguruspeaks.com. You will get lot of useful information here. And finally the official email ID has been given here. Have a nice day. Thank you very much.